The Tuesday, February 16th, 2016, Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees meeting. The meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise and join us in the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Present.
Trustee Carter.
Present.
Trustee Mariscal.
Present.
Trustee Cumming.
Present.
Trustee Reichert.
Present.
Trustee Fuller.
Present.
Thank you very much. First order of business tonight is the approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for the February 2nd meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes as submitted?
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Have a motion from Trustee Cumming.
Second.
Second from Trustee Reichert. All those in favor of approving the Board of Trustees minutes for February 2nd, 2016, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it, and the board has approved the Board of Trustees minutes for February 2nd as submitted. Next order of business tonight is correspondence, and that will be presented by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
I have no correspondence this evening.
Thank you. One announcement, we want to extend our sympathies to the family of Lauren, better known as Bud Crawford. Was a Heights resident, I believe, all of his life. A terrific guy and a huge supporter of the village, and his wife went to high school with her as well, Cindy Hall Crawford. So again, our condolences to the Crawford family on the loss of Bud. Next order of business tonight is the trustee reports, and first up will be Public Works with Trustee Harn.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I really don't have anything. We had a little snowstorm, and the guys did a nice job keeping the streets clear. That's about all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions at all for Trustee Harn? Thank you again. We'll go to Administration Personnel with Trustee Cumming.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing to report this evening.
All right, thank you. We will move to Economic Development, Village Improvements with Trustee Carter.
Thank you. I have nothing to report.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move to the Police Department with Trustee Fuller.
Thank you, Marilyn. I have nothing other than Neighborhood Watch here on Monday, the 29th, 6:30 p.m.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions at all for Trustee Fuller? Okay, again, thank you. We'll move to Village Hall Building Maintenance with Trustee Mariscal.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing to report this evening.
All right, thank you. And we'll close out with the Fire Department with Trustee Reichert.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Before Mr. Roger Larson gives us an update, any comments from the audience? Rachel, anything on your mind? No. Rachel Seitz is here from the Peoria Heights High School to monitor what we're doing here and making sure it's legal. So that's why we dropped a few things off of our agenda once we saw you were out here, but thanks for being here. We'll go now to Mr. Roger Larson. I believe you have a presentation regarding the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Township.
Yes, I do, Mayor Allen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll say I'll be brief, but really brevity is often defined in different ways, so I'll keep this under an hour tonight so that you know that you went to a meeting tonight. I really am excited tonight, and you know, Administrator Fick and I have talked about this at great length, and he is also involved in this, but I'm excited when I see potential. It's very easy getting involved in government work to look at things as they are and really not getting beyond how they are, but to look at what can be. And I'm excited tonight because I see potential. Number one reason why I see potential is there's a need in Peoria County for municipalities and townships working together to secure grant funding for economic/community development. So I'm excited because there is a need, because if you once identify what the need is, it's very easy to develop a vehicle to be able to address that need. And I'm excited tonight because I see a vehicle that's developing right now to be able to address that need, and that vehicle is the Matt says, what is that acronym again? The Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Townships. I first became involved with this organization or concept, and actually be June of 2 years ago when I attended a meeting in Hannah City. And it has just begun to expand ever since our first meeting in Hannah City. The whole focus of the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Townships, or the coalition as we'll call it tonight, is that it's designed so that municipalities and townships work together in looking at grant development, grant administration, and have a larger voice, so that we leverage all of these voices together to look at economic and community development. For funding purposes, rural LISC, you know, the work that Peoria LISC is doing on the East Bluff, they've received considerable press because of what's taking place there. Well, LISC also has a rural component. Now, rural LISC has committed to funding the coalition for 1 year, guaranteed of $30,000. Now, in addition to that, they were able to secure another funder who guaranteed another $30,000. So we have $60,000, which is guaranteed for the first year. Once we get all the organizational paperwork completed, i.e. statement of organization, bylaws submitted to the state, and we become an official entity. After that, they have already committed that they would have a capacity grant of $15,000 annually that the coalition would have to write the grant for. So we have $60,000 the first year, $15,000 per year thereafter, provided that we, as I mentioned, that we actually write the grant. So we have the organization, the vehicle in place, if you would. So I'm excited because there's a need. I'm excited because there's a vehicle to address that need. But also the third reason why I'm really excited about all this potential is because we have people who are willing to drive that vehicle. On the handout that Administrator Fick sent out to you, it lists the individuals who are involved in the coalition. So we have municipal governments and we have township governments represented on this steering committee. So we have people who are committed to it, and in doing the marketing and public relations and speaking with various units of government, that I have yet to have a negative response to this. Because it's grassroots driven. And in working with the National LISC organization, that the work that we're developing here in Peoria County, there's only one other entity in the entire United States that's using this model of a grassroots driven community and economic development emphasis, and that's out in Colorado. Every other entity that Rural LISC supports is working with a present economic development corporation of some sort. So we are only one of two entities in the entire United States that's really looking at this model. So I am excited about what's happening and how it's developing. Now, what am I asking you for? You know, you come and you have to make an ask. The thing that I'm asking for the support of the Village of Peoria Heights City Council is that you would support us through the signing of an intergovernmental agreement. And Administrator Fick has that in checking it through the proper channels to make sure all the legalities are where they need to be. There is no financial commitment. We're asking municipal governments and township governments not to make a financial commitment for at least 3 years. And then after that, we're looking at $120 per year, and then we're going to be, actually, we want to hit the ground running and have administrative charges from grants to be able to fund the rest of the organization in subsequent years. So as I mentioned, the first year, Rural LISC will be funding us, and then after that, we're going to be relying on the administrative charge from the grants that are written. Now, what do we want to do with that money? Well, of course, we want to get grants. We don't want to have a lot of foo-foo and time wasted. So we want to hire an individual who will actually do the grant research, who will actually do the grant writing, who will actually do the grant administration, so that it would free us up as the board to go out and to do the marketing and the public relations work for the rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Townships. So again, when Administrator Fick has the intergovernmental agreement, I would ask that you'd sign it in supporting the work that we're endeavoring to do with no financial commitment for a minimum of 3 years then. Do you have any questions of me?
Okay, so the grant, I'm confused, I guess. So what are the grants for? Did I miss something here?
Can I stand over here?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Because standing behind that seems like there's a podium between us.
You can have a chair if you'd like.
I'd rather just talk to you than have to stand behind the podium. What are the grants for? Let's say hypothetically, Trustee Carter, that Peoria Heights says, we need new sidewalks. And maybe Bartonville says, well, we need new sidewalks. And Limestone Township is saying, well, that we're coterminous with the city of Bartonville, so we need new sidewalks also. So rather than Peoria Heights applying for a grant for sidewalks, you have Peoria Heights, you have Bartonville, and you have Limestone Township who go together and they write one grant with 3 voices. That's one of the things that grantors look for. They don't just want to know that you have a good project or that you have good impact determined there, but they want to know who's going to be involved with it. That's where our voice is larger. So it's looking at not only economic, but community development as well. I'll give an example, another example, and that is, I've spoken with one township that says that they have all these homes that are on the township rolls, but they have to pay for the maintenance of it because they're abandoned properties. Well, there's grant funding from the Housing and Urban Development as well as USDA for housing rehab. So to be able for municipal and township governments to apply for housing rehab grants, you have a larger voice going for that money. So you can have 4 or 5 entities that are applying for a grant that would be spread across those 4 or 5 entities.
So who would, how do I word it? So who would determine what grant? Someone would call whoever you're going to hire, say, hey, like Matt would say, we're looking at the sidewalk deal, so he would call that person that you would be hiring? Is that right?
Yeah.
And then that person would call the other people that are on the list to say, how are you doing on your sidewalks?
Well, how I envision it, because everything is yet up in the air,
Right.
How I would envision it is that we're going to do a very thorough needs assessment. Rather than holding our fingers in the air and waiting for something to happen,
Yeah.
to be aggressive and to go to every municipality, every township in Peoria County with a needs assessment survey. And how that will look, we don't know yet, but to have that assessment, so that way it's a little more scientific. And then calling through those needs assessment surveys, then to find out what are the common threads there. So if you have out of 20 townships and however many municipal governments, if you have common threads, well then you know that's going to be a hot button. Let's pursue a grant in that area. I use sidewalks. It could be
Right, anything, yeah.
anything. But to have that common thread as determined by that needs assessment survey. So that's how that's all developed. And the board is going to be a working board. It's not going to be one where we meet however frequently, that we don't want that person to have their time divided between the marketing and public relations and really doing the work that we need for them to do, which is determining the needs and researching grants, writing, and then administering the grants.
Where do you get the money to pay that person?
That's going to, for the first year, is going to come from that partnership with Rural List and their partner, that's $60,000 the first year.
Okay.
So after 3 years, will we have an opportunity to review the efficacy of the program? Okay.
Absolutely, and give it a thumbs up.
So is the person an employee of Ridgewoods Township or
No,
Peoria?
No, this actually, even though I'm involved with it, it's totally separate from Richwoods Township. This individual will be an employee of the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Townships.
Oh, okay. And $60,000, I mean, for office space, a salary, I mean, is that?
Well, it's interesting that you said that, Trustee Fuller, and that is that right now, that's one of the needs that we have is trying to find some place to house this individual. So that $60,000, that's gonna have to cover salary, administrative fee, and hopefully, my hope and desire is that we can have office space donated someplace.
Have you guys thought about maybe treating that grant writer as an independent contractor? And so that way you wouldn't incur all the overhead from payroll and have to find office space per se?
That's a very strong possibility.
Because I know there are a lot of grant writers that are independent and work for various organizations, so it might help them out by being able to write off some home office expense as well. It might save you guys a little bit on the overhead there, so you can put more money into the process of finding out, in the discovery process of trying to find out what municipalities and townships need.
Exactly. Would you make a note of that, Administrator Fink?
Yes, sir. Have I been elected secretary and I didn't know it, or?
Well, I was hoping.
Yeah, I second that.
So we don't pay anything for 3 years?
That's the 3 years.
What's not to like, right?
Yeah, and $120 a year after that? What are the hidden costs here? Well, yeah, well, what's the,
So, I don't know if you want to talk about, and I know they're different, but the Peoria LISC has been in the news. They received a lot of funding from Caterpillar, right? I mean, obviously, it benefits them to see the neighborhoods surrounding the downtown and East Bluff stabilized, so and I don't know how much they donated, but, I mean, if you want an example of how that works in the urban setting, that would be, if you go back and look, the Journal Star's written articles about it, and they've done some neighborhood beautification projects and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So the last question for me anyway, does it matter that we're not rural?
It is considered rural.
Oh, we're considered rural, okay.
Actually, anything outside of the boundaries of the city of Peoria is considered rural. So Peoria Heights, Bartonville, West Peoria are all considered in the catchment area of rural LISC.
I was going to ask that too, because I didn't know if maybe the planters that the township put up at the library for the summer gardening program, maybe if that's what got us to qualify as rural.
I don't think so. So as I to reinforce it, anything outside the boundaries of Peoria is considered in the catchment area of rural LISC.
Oh, that's nice.
And my intention in being on this steering committee is to maintain regular contact. I'm not the type of person to wait and go every 6 months or once a year and say, okay, this is where we are, because to me, when you're talking about a new baby, you have to have constant nurture, and you need to know what's going on. And I shall be here frequently in order to let you know what is taking place with the coalition.
That was beautiful. You got a lot of information in a short period of time. We appreciate that.
Well, I'll go back to the podium. Well, I want to thank you all tonight for giving me this opportunity. And from a township perspective, I'm very, very thankful for this partnership. I am very thankful for this partnership. Trustee Carter was asking me about the Leadership Academy we're putting right now, this is a little, so that you kind of an FYI to tuck in your hat, that we're working with Pearl Technology and Illinois Central College and University of Illinois Extension, developing a science, technology, engineering, and math academy that we're looking at having in the summer, engaging 325, engaging St. Thomas, as well as engaging Peoria Christian, engaging middle schoolers. So again, there's a need, and whenever there's a need, that we want to help to address that. So you'll be hearing more about that as the time progresses. Do you have any further questions?
You know, I just want to say I think it's a fantastic idea because it seems at the municipal level that really grants are the best way to get anything done because I think the taxpayers are already pressed enough with their contributions to, involuntary contributions to what we do as a municipality. And really, you know, you need that outside the box thinking. And banding together with the other municipalities is a fantastic idea.
And one of the things, and since you mentioned that, Trustee Cumming, that I pushed early on in really working this concept, and that is we need to engage townships. You know, the townships have been that forgotten entity. Only if you have to go in and get your taxes reassessed or you want to pay your taxes, the townships are kind of like, okay, you know, they're out there, but they are a very important voice of the people. And they are a very grassroots form, and they know what their folks are thinking. And that's why I'm really thankful that early on that we decided to engage township government in this whole emphasis, because they know people, and they have a strong voice as well.
Richwoods Township is never forgotten, Roger. You know that. Because if it is, you'll remind us to not forget. No, we all appreciate the hard work. I mean, I'm serious that, no joking at all. We really appreciate your hard work, your diligence for making the area a better place to live. We commend you for your continued dedication to Peoria Heights and Richwoods Township.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. And thank you, Board. And thank you for the time tonight. If you have any questions, my office is in City Hall right across from the Water Department at 4901 North Prospect. And I will engage any level of conversation. And please, Trustee Harn, bring in your treasures, please.
Okay.
I'd like to see those. I may write an article in the Community Word about them.
The next board meeting.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
Have a good evening.
All right, we have no old business tonight, so we will move to new business. And first up will be for board approval of a fundraising request for the Marine Corps League, and that will be presented by Trustee Carter.
Thank you. Looks like the Marine Corps League of Peoria would like to do a fundraiser on the corner of Prospect and Cyberlane October 22nd. So I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Carter,
Second.
second from Trustee Harn. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of the fundraising request for the Marine Corps League for Saturday, October 22nd, as outlined by Trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Trustee Cumming.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert. Aye. Trustee Fuller.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 6-0, the board has approved the fundraising request for the Marine Corps League Saturday, October 22nd, 2016, as outlined by Trustee Carter. Final order of new business tonight is a motion to support the village's membership and participation in what Mr. Larson already presented. And that will be presented by Trustee Carter.
Thank you again. I make a motion to support the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Townships as described by Mr. Larson tonight.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Trustee Carter,
Second.
second from Trustee Cumming. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes?
So is this like supporting the non-governmental agreement or just the general idea that we're...
Probably both, right?
Well, I'll actually have the intergovernmental agreement at a later meeting.
Oh,
he
I'm
has
sorry,
to vote on.
intergovernmental.
Yes.
Non-governmental, okay.
So this is just to support, I guess, our participation in it, my time. You know, there's no monetary, but just that they wanted something, if it's minutes or whatever, that each township and municipality involved in this coalition supports it. Their board supports it, in other words.
okay.
And the intergovernmental agreement will do that, but I think they're wanting something now to kind of get a feel for how many people are going to be interested in it, so.
A symbolic gesture.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay, cool, that sounds good.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, once again, this is for the board motion to support the village's membership and participation in the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Township. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
I'm sorry, did we have a second?
Yeah, we had
Oh,
a
okay.
second from Trustee Kevin.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Cumming?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 6-0, the board has approved to support the village's membership and participation in the Rural Peoria County Coalition of Municipalities and Township, as Mr. Larson presented earlier. Next order of business tonight is a treasurer's report, and that will be read by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
All right, this represents the bank balances as of January 2016 as submitted by our village treasurer, Cliff Brumbaugh, and the grand total in the village accounts is $1,011,840.61. The grand total in the waterworks accounts is $566,774.71, for total accounts in the village and waterworks of $1,578,615.32.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments regarding the treasurer's report? All right, then we will accept it as read. I want to remind everybody, the next departmental committee meeting will be held Tuesday, February 23rd at 6:30 PM, and the next Board of Trustees meeting will be held Tuesday, March 1st at 6:30 PM. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening?
Move to adjourn?
I have a motion from Trustee Cumming and a second from Trustee Fuller. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at this time, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you, the ayes have it. Meeting is now adjourned. Rachel, thank you for attending.